Hello everyone and welcome to another episode from my sofa. A rather important episode when it comes to the virtues and values of this car channel and everything that I try and instill in other people. And that is being able to do things yourself and as much as possible. And from what I've seen over the last few years in the car community is one of the exact opposite, actually. In the car enthusiast community, we enjoy older cars. It's what drives the hobby. Obviously, there are people that love the newer cars, like the cars from the last 10 years, maybe 15 years. But anything sort of older than about 20 years of age is kind of most of my thing and most of your thing, I'm assuming. And that basically means we have an extremely ageing population of cars in the UK, Europe, across the world that are classics, that are bona fide classics, modern classics, you name it. And that requires a certain level of skill in order to maintain those cars. Whether you're employing a garage to carry out the work for you, or whether you can feasibly you're not even able to legally carry out some work on your cars. And we know there are some countries in Europe where working on your car outside your property is not exactly illegal, but extremely tricky without consequences. And then there are many people that will happily get their hands dirty. But the number of people that are willing to do that, like myself, are dwindling a lot. And it tends to dwindle through the age gaps. Most people my age don't really like lifting a finger to anything, to be honest. Well, actually, that's a bit harsh, but it's not too far away from the truth. And the main element of this episode is the DIYist versus the do it for you. And this is the battle we're talking about here. We have a whole generation of people, probably built up over the last 20, 30 years, who don't do it for themselves. They have to pay somebody to do it, or at least for very different reasons. Some reasons because the person cannot physically do the work they would like to. They've got the income, and maybe a little bit more disposable income, but they cannot physically do that job. And we're not talking about cars here. We're talking about everything from doing housework, like laying a carpet, laying a laminate flooring, plastering, fitting a kitchen. There's a humongous amount of things. Just repairing stuff instead of actually throwing it away. It's that impetus of let's try and fix this rather than not. And the problem is, along this last, I'd say, 30 years, where we've gone from people who are keen DIYers to now not really doing it for themselves. I think COVID was the fantastic reverse that a lot of us needed, where these services where somebody came to your house to do the job for you, they were gone. You could buy the resources and the materials from the usual ware stores to do up your house or your garden, but you had to do it yourself. And people watching stuff off YouTube, and YouTube is utterly amazing. YouTube is trying to curb this anti-do-it-yourself vibe and culture that we've somehow built up. In fact, we've got to a point, not even with cars, where people cannot really do anything for themselves without being spoon-fed and having it given to them on a bucket and spade. It's really alarming. I'm finding this with my own channel, with some of the comments, with some of the things that I've been asked, and many other things in between. But I've also seen this in my day-to-day life where people just can't be bothered to do things. I mean, are we going to talk about the fact that we now eat, we actually take away, we actually buy deliveries of food, pre-prepared, pre-cooked, that we just eat? We don't even cook it no more. We've actually gone as far as we just order stuff. We don't even buy ready-made meals now from the shops. We actually just order it, which is ridiculous. Right? We have a whole generation of people that can't be asked to cook. And can't be asked to cook, because this is what the title of this episode really should be. People who can't be asked to do anything apart from they want something nice. They like a nice house. They like a nice garden. Probably not. They like a nice car. But they don't really want to work for it. I see this at work, and I see this in all corners of kind of the social life that we have in the, especially Great Britain, and the European world around us. The first world really is suffering from this problem, and there are some ways that I've got of counteracting this, but it's really tricky. This episode is more of a ranty episode, but I thought I would express this and ask, well, what do other people think about this? Do you think that I'm going over the top, or do you see this yourself? Because I rather find it quite concerning, especially when it comes to classic cars. When it comes to maintaining cars, you really do need a certain skill set, and that is far beyond, no, I'll just give all the work to the garage. Well, that's not good enough. You can't do that. You've got to be able to do things yourself. You cannot sustain a car while doing nothing. A lot of my videos show people very simply how easy it is to maintain a car. Doesn't matter what car it is. Doesn't have to be a Ford Focus Mark 1 or a Fiesta Mark 3 Rover 412. Those principles are applied to every single car. You take it in baby steps, and you don't need many tools to do this. So I can give an example here, actually, of where I believe that the sort of naivety almost of some people. I mean, I could go on forever about certain things that I've seen recently. I mean, do you not see these Facebook posts from people who, they're car enthusiasts, but they're people who go on a certain group. Let's say someone goes on the Austin Maestro group. You know how rare they are. And will say, I really want to get my hands on a beige HLS. Has anybody got one? I want one. You know, I want a beige HLS. And for those of you who don't know Maestros very well, a HLS was quite an early on Maestro. And they virtually changed all their specs after 1986, after the facelift. Well, a slight facelift to the interior, I should say, nothing else. And they're like rocking horse poo in any colour. You can be looking to get one in any colour, any condition. And yet this guy was kind of asking, well, I want one. I'm surprised he didn't actually say, I want one that's absolutely rust-free. And I just cannot believe the naivety of such a person. And we know these people exist. And I just think, you are certainly not someone I would want anywhere near any of my cars. You will not look after them. You want one that's in mint condition, drive it around like it's 1985, and then after about 3 or 4 years, after a few winters, it's rotten because you've ruined it. I would never have anybody like that near cars. And this is what I'm going to come to next, which links to that example. Given a message by somebody through Facebook Messenger, but he is a complete stranger. I've never met him. We actually never had a conversation beforehand. Nothing like that. No messaging, no nothing. He just had this problem with his Mark 3 Fiesta. And he said, look, would you be able to do this job for me? I've got the exact same problem. You've sorted it on yours. Can you do this job for me? I'll pay you. And it was nice for him to offer to pay me, okay? You know, not always people do that straight away. We know what people are like. But I wouldn't do this anyway. And I said no. And I said no for a few different reasons. Number one, I'm not a mobile mechanic service. I don't know where I've actually advertised where I can actually do jobs for any Tom, Dick and Harry. I only work for people who are very close friends, who I actually want to spend time with as well as work on the cars and have a lot of fun with, who I can relate to. I don't do any work for Tom, Dick and Harry, and even if it's paid, I don't have the time to do that. But it's the fact that somebody thought, well, I'm a complete stranger, but I'll just still ask him. Now, I found that quite weird because the conversation didn't exactly start that way. It started as, what did you do? Where did you get the part from? Where's this located? Where's that located? What part do I need? And I gave him a 2-minute voice message of what he needed to do. And then he came back to me and asked me about doing the job for him. So I'm thinking, I mean, it must be just the confidence that I exude that gives people this impression that, oh, yeah, of course, I'll be right with you. Excuse me, I'll get my tools. I literally, by messaging him almost gave the impression that my services were somehow available. I just think that the person who was asking about a Maestro HOS, which was a real life example, and this real life example, I just two complete strangers to me, so I'm not judgmental in this way, but they could be the same person, because it's almost like, well, I can have it here and now. I want it here. I'm not patient about it. I want it done. There is absolutely no patience. It's the same person who orders takeaways because they can't be bothered to cook. They just order a takeaway to your door. I'm just thinking, well, what's the difference? It's the lack of patience. And this, for me, is the biggest thing with why people are no longer doing their own work and are actually getting other people to do their work, whether it's, cooking food and delivering it, or actually getting somebody else to work on their car, like a mobile service. I know there's so many mobile services. How convenient is that? I mean, I had a mobile aircon man, fantastically convenient, but only convenient when it's appropriate. But people literally lead their whole lives by laziness. It's pure laziness. I'm not suggesting that everybody who has some has ordered a product or a package that you could have done yourself. Maybe you don't have enough time. Maybe that's the case. But people do have a lot of time. They just don't want to spend the time doing stuff. And that's what I kind of think with most people. But you can't really, you can't build a culture of people doing things for themselves if you've got this constant environment of, well, we'll do it for you. Because at the end of the day, you're paying more money by letting somebody do this. I just think, why can't people actually see the wood through the trees and think, oh, hold on a second, I can actually do this for myself and save a lot of money. And actually, it is hard work, but I'm going to do it. And if you have that kind of mindset, you'll be doing your own work anyway. But that's not the audience, really, that I'm talking about. And it is almost the same kind of laziness where on Facebook groups, I see the constant need for when people have got an issue with their car, I've got this problem. And this problem has been reported about 1 million times on the same group. And my first direction is, why didn't you press the search button, typed the problem in, and it would come up with loads of old posts. You'll find what you need. But no, because that takes too long. We've got to type it up, and then literally it takes 20, 30 seconds to type the problem up, which probably isn't a very good description. And then leave it there, and then by the time I come back to my phone in 5 minutes, there's tons of answers. People just respond all over the place. And I think that is a good way of doing things if you're time pressed, but it's not a good way of doing things if you want to build up a rapport for increasing your patience with a car. And it is about patience with a car, okay? Cars are not things that are going to give you instant gratification. They will have problems on them that you're going to take a while to repair, or it will take a few days at least. In fact, most local garages by me can't actually do jobs that quickly because there's so many cars from so many people and there's only a certain amount of garages. Unfortunately, we live in a world where actually even being in the trade isn't a very fun thing these days because people aren't actually looking after their cars because they're just not keeping on top of it. And the DIY aspect comes in and the lack of it comes in. I know this is a rather garbled episode, but I thought I'd go on a bit of a rant about that. The other thing that I've got to be in the bonnet about is the fact that when people are using Facebook, they're not using car forums, and car forums have been brilliant, but unfortunately they've kind of died a death because of this instant gratification that people need for either something they've done or something they need a hand on. And it's this, I can't wait, I've got to type it in. I must type it in. This causes several problems in the car world. I think it more or less causes deterioration of a lot of classics because of the lack of skills. And this is being found now. There's an awful lot of classics still going to scrap. Pre-90 stuff, there's an awful lot that I'm seeing up for breaking. And I think, you know what, these cars, I look at them and I think I could definitely turn that around if I had the funds I had when I bought Ruby, when I bought Beatrix. If I had those funds, I could turn that car around. Now, I'm of that ilk because I know I can see a car and I know how to turn them around. There's not a lot of people with that mindset because they're not skilled enough to even contemplate that. In fact, many people shouldn't ever go near cars. I do, as someone who promotes the use and promotes the overall getting your hands stuck in with your cars and saving money and gaining some skills and some confidence and self-esteem. There are some people that should never go near cars. It's truthful. But the majority of people can. And if you are those people that really want to get your hands stuck in, there is nothing stopping you. You need a basic tool set, some lubricants, some penetrating fluid, and off you go. You'll be absolutely fine. You just need to take every job as it goes, do your research, go on YouTube, go on the forums, go everywhere, do your research. Because people who haven't got patience are not doing research. And that's why they're coming unstuck with many problems, because they're not anticipating problems. They have no idea what they're buying. They go out to buy a car without even looking at any buyer's guides. I always look at the buyer's guides. I did it with Beatrix. I did it with the Mark III Fiesta. I did it with all my cars. Buyer's guides. You've got to know what you're buying. You've got to know what you're going to own. And many people don't understand what they're going to own, and they come unstuck a lot of the time. But here are my top tips to help out. And as I say, you take small jobs at a time. Don't look at the whole picture and think, oh, my car's got several problems. I've got suspension problems, I've got electrical problems, I've got a battery problem, and then I've got an oil change I've got to do, the cam belt's due. Oh, it's a mess, isn't it? Everything's pile on top of you, very much so with these sort of cars. And there's no way around it. You're going to have patience. You have to think about what is the most important thing to sort first. What's going to kill you? Suspension. That will kill you. If suspension is wrong, you could have things falling apart, cracking, splitting, rusting out. You could have all sorts happening, and that will kill you at speed. You must sort the suspension out in this case, if this is the example. But if it's a safety related issue, like we've got fuel leaks, oh, you need to sort that out. That, beyond anything else, that's absolutely, again, it's another safety thing. It could kill you, could kill other people. So sort that out, whichever way. So prioritise your jobs and know which ones you've got to do. Once you've got a job prioritised, you've got to think about what parts you need. Sometimes when you're doing jobs, you can't anticipate what parts you're going to need until after things have come apart. Very often I thought, yep, I need X, Y and Z. I've ordered the parts, they're on my desk. I go to do the job thinking I can get this done today. Oh boy, no. Because I end up taking more stuff off, and there's other stuff that I don't like, stuff that's broken, deteriorated, and I'm thinking, do I need this car to work tomorrow? No. Those parts will stay where they are. I'm going to clean up, order the parts I need, and then we're going to put it all together, because then we'll have everything that I'm happy about, and I'm happy with the way it's gone back together and the components that have gone back into that car, and then I've completed the job. So often, just be on the alert for, well, you can buy parts first up, do the job, but then you might discover something, and you will have to deal with that, unfortunately. I just don't like jobs where someone buys new parts, sees another part that should have been replaced, but still keeps it on the car and puts new parts on. You need to deal with that. If you need to put it back on to get the car on the road, then do that, but come back to it at a later date. That's number one, okay? And then understanding how the job's completed. If you are anxious with how a job should look or what you should be doing or any tips, go and watch YouTube videos. Go and research. Look at the Haynes Manual. The Haynes Manual will give you some thought, but it's more for people who are good at reading and can put reading into actual, oh, I can visualise what I'm doing now. Some people can't read a book and visualise what's going on in the book. So it's sometimes good to watch stuff, and watching stuff is good. You get your phone out, type it into YouTube, and it is there. So many of my videos have been exactly like that. So if you're a Mark 1 owner and you've seen a video I've done, what are you waiting for? And then once you know, when you've got the tools, you know what tools you're going to have. So have a look at your tools. As I say, a lot of YouTube videos, I try and make this clear myself, is what tools I use, okay? Oh, I've got an 11mm there and a 15mm socket there. So you've got an idea of what tools that you should be using. What tools, what resources like WD-40, GT85, silicone green. There's so few things that you need in your toolbox. In fact, I'll probably end up going over this in another episode about what things I carry in my DeWalt toolbox. Other toolboxes from other makers might be ideal, but this is the best. And we have something called this. I mean, if you can't be, if your phone, if you don't feel comfortable using your phone half the time for research and you need something bigger, go on your laptop, go on your iPad, go and have a look at the forums. If someone's had a symptom, you're not sure what the problem is, go and have a look at the forums, do a little bit of research. It doesn't take long to find what you're looking for. Instant gratification is fine on Facebook, but as I found out on Facebook, a lot of people actually don't know what they're talking about half the time. So be very careful of Facebook. Whereas the forums can be just as bad. But equally, I think people who have bothered to write paragraphs and paragraphs and pictures with paragraphs in posts on a thread, they are more believable than the person who's just written a little sentence. And that's what I think personally. And that's really it. Once you've got your research done, Haynes manuals, forums, you could go on Facebook. Facebook is always good. I have used it in the past. I'm not saying Facebook and social media isn't an outlet. It is. But you've got to use it balanced-wise, and you've got to use it in proportion to the job. So if the job or the symptom you're getting is a bit head-scratchy, have a look what's on the internet already, because I think it's probably been mentioned. If it hasn't been mentioned, that's where you go on Facebook. That's my line on that one. In terms of perception and understanding of classic cars, when it comes to the DIY aspect, you just have to budget and plan all the time. There's no way, 1 year it could be absolutely fine and need absolutely nothing. Next year, when you bring it out, it's got terrible problems. It's got all problems all over the place. And that's just the way it is. And you kind of have to balance the weight and scales, because obviously you probably have a main car. You've got to put priorities into that, because that's what the one you use to commute, presumably. So, you have to put the priorities in the first cars, and then any other car does not get a second priority. It's a bit of a difficult balancing act. But in the subject of DIY versus do it for you, this do it for you culture is getting us absolutely nowhere. It's leaving us with cars in bits and pieces. I see on Facebook Marketplace, Car and Classic, Gumtree, cars are a wreck. People don't know how to look after cars now. And the truth is, you can't really improve the situation without people giving them skills. Part of my second job now is to give people confidence and skills with car maintenance. And it's a tricky one, because people are so down-skilled. I honestly believe that if everybody who had a really good level of understanding about cars actually spread that knowledge to other people, we wouldn't have a problem. We wouldn't have a skill shortage, because there's tons of knowledge out there. But it's a problem where, do you drag the horse to you? Are you going to be able to make people learn this, or are you going to draw them in? I draw people in with YouTube, so I use YouTube as a draw factor. Some of my episodes are quite entertaining, some are not. And I use that as a draw. I use my cars as a draw to get people in. And I've been amazed at some of the things that people have actually done as a result of my videos. Unfortunately, you can't draw everybody in. And some people just don't have the mental mindset to be patient, to look at it with an open perspective, and to see a classic car for what it is, a money pit. They are absolute money pits. And the only way of controlling that and making sure that you have a good experience with an older car is to do it yourself. Do it for you is not an option. And that's where I leave this. Take care.